United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
We'll observe a moment of silence for those who have fallen in the line of duty. Thank you. Okay. Let the record show that today the mayor is absent, and Jeannie and I are going to share running the show, I guess. So let's start out with review of the minutes. And does anyone have any comments, input, changes to these minutes from November? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes are part of the record. All right. Greetings to our guests, press. And our first order of business will be the October report from Lutheran EMS, please.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I kind of mentioned this last month when we were talking about our September numbers, how we kind of saw this small dip, but as I was kind of preempting to, October was a very busy month for us. In fact, we saw a significant amount of medical. A lot of times as we start getting into the fall months, we expect to see more flu cases. We expect to see more medical issues. And in fact, that's what we saw this year. There wasn't a ton of COVID that we saw. As in years past, we had seen that kind of spike during these fall months. But just very, very sick. One thing that we're kind of seeing is that unfortunately, as a result of COVID, a lot of people put off treating their chronic medical issues. And unfortunately, putting that off for so long has kind of caught up with them. And they're very, very sick, critical patients. And so this number in October, we had 483 calls. You'll see 369 of those were transports, which is one of our higher numbers since even the peak of COVID. So into kind of our coverage, again, it's something we look at every single month. It's something that is important to us, making sure that we have coverage where we need to make sure that people of your coverage area are well taken care of. And again, we see that our busiest station is where we actually have 2 trucks running out of during Monday through Friday, that 269 calls. When it comes to our response times, you'll see that those continue to be significantly under any national average that you'll see. A time from dispatch to back in service of 45 minutes, from a dispatch to location at 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So a great job to all of our crews and everybody that was involved this month. So. One thing I did want to make sure you guys are aware of, we did, as we've talked in months past, we did have a total of 12 mobile integrated health calls. So in this past month, in specific to Warsaw-Wayne Township, for patients with chronic issues that we are starting to see. So starting next year, you'll start to see that built into your report for every month, kind of a breakdown on that. Any questions?
Questions, anyone?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your report. Appreciate it. Okay, next order of business, Chief, that falls on you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. For the month of October, we had 316 calls. Of those 316, 44 were fire related. That could be actual fires, carbon alarms, fire alarms, trash fires, a lot of lead fires we had. Out of the 316 calls, 108 of them overlapped. If you've noticed over the past few months, we've had a small uptick, whether it's a half or a full percent each month on our overlapping calls, meaning simultaneous calls go out all the time. which could hamper our resources from time to time. That number is not getting smaller. The most notable fire calls is we had a combine fire on 14 West 400. We extinguished, it was in a cornfield. We didn't have any significant loss of agriculture, but we did put the combine out on the cornfield. A mulch fire up against an apartment complex on 2246 West 100. It ended up being a mulch fire that kind of spread up to the structure itself and impinged the 8 gas meters there to where it created a leak. And we were very fortunate that it didn't set it off. So we had the electric companies come there, gas companies, we extinguished the mulch, secured the gas, and kind of turned it over to the utility companies. We had a field fire. We assisted Claypool with a field fire at 5337 South Country Club Road. We extinguished, assisted them, with extinguishment and overhaul. We had another grass fire on 3869 Mandy Court at a residential area. We extinguished that with no exposures. We assisted. We had 3 assists to other agencies in the month of October. We sent our Fire Marshal Joe Fretz up to 112 East Syracuse in Milford for a fire investigation. The grass fire in Claypool that we assisted them on. And we got dispatched to a dump truck rollover with entrapment in Leesburg. However, we were canceled prior to arrival. There was no entrapment. And we received aid from Winona at a small electrical fire on 425 Chenworth Court. As far as emergency calls, if you look at medical assist and CARES calls, we had a total of 172 EMS calls, which is, 20 more than we had in, that's supposed to say September. We had 172 calls in October and 159 in September. And then we were down just a little bit in CARES calls in October. We had 52 compared to 63 in September. So that's still running strong, but it is on a little bit of a decline there.
So where it says in October should say in
Correct.
September?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my fault. We had a few accidents involving injuries, about a total of 8 accidents involving injuries. We had a few elevator rescues. There was a problem with the rescue at the, Days Inn? I think it was the Days Inn. It has since been placed out of service per our fire marshal until they can get it fixed. We had several gas leaks and electrical hazards. One of them was the apartment complex. And that's really about it for the calls. The rest is just kind of monotonous stuff. We had our guys had a total of 418 training hours, and we spent about 3.5 hours in schools, and that is Presby's preschool, and basically all the elementary schools in the kindergarten program, for a total of 266 students that we that our public education program had public relations and education services with. So that is all I got. You guys have any questions? It was a busy month, but it was a good month.
I just have a question on the next page down, the detailed breakdown. Number 510, persons in distress. Would that be a CARES?
Yes.
That's a
correct.
CARES calls, okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Wow. That's a great program. Thank you.
Yeah, she's doing wonderful.
Yes.
Stays busy.
Yeah, unfortunately, right?
Yeah. It has,
Fortunately, we can deal with it.
our numbers hasn't really reflected it, but I think it has significantly reduced duplicate calls for our engines. We've already noticed that in the few short months. I mean, we still get, EMS is always going to be on the uptick and the rising. That's why we're on pace to run 4,000 calls this year, and it's going to grow and grow and grow because our community is growing and growing and growing. But the CARES program is really helping that out with running those duplicate calls to where you could go to somebody's house, 8 or 9, 10 times a week.
Does that translate, just curious, does that translate to fewer police calls? Do you know?
I don't have the stats to back a firm
just
yes
wondering.
up, but I know the police use Michaela as well. They go over there, her and Chris go over and talk with PD a lot. They're very into the program, and they do use Michaela when needed.
We actually just Monday did training for Warsaw PD to really make it more official. They knew CARES was out there. They didn't really know what it was and how to utilize it. Some of them did, but we actually went and did 2 shift change trainings for PD. Gave them better understanding when to call, what we're used for, what we can help them with, and they were really receptive.
Terrific.
So my guess, and that's all it is that we're going to get busier. Because they're just constantly dealing with stuff that, that was one of the mayor's ideas when we started this, was to pull PD off of some of those things that they're not really supposed to be dealing with and let us take care of it, let them get back on the road.
Yeah.
So I think we're really going to see an uptick.
Which is why I asked the question. I wonder
Most notably
if it was starting
yeah.
to
It
happen.
is, and we've had more and more instances where we're able to get right in with the person. We're working with Bowen right now and getting some protocol on what medical clearance looks like. Lutheran EMS has helped with that a few times now, where we're able to work with the hospital, work with Bowen, get them cleared so they don't have to go to the hospital. They can go straight over to Bowen if that's what is best. So it's working out like it's supposed to.
Terrific.
There's a lot of players that have to line up to make it work.
Yeah. And we haven't been doing it that long.
Right.
6 months.
Yeah.
So we're terrific. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any thoughts or questions? Okay. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate the report. And you're up again. Expenditure reports.
Yes, sir. Fund 4410. We took a little bit of money out of this fund this month. We had 2 vehicles. When I say vehicles, I mean our ladder truck and our big heavy rescue needed tires, and those don't come cheap. So that came out of the fund budget that you see at the very first page of that detail history of the rescue tires were 5,700 and the truck tires were 4,016. On the second page, the rest of this stuff is all PPE, our protective, our gear, and most of it was on a PO from last year. We just finally received it because Globe has about an 18-month turnaround, if you can believe that, for fire gear. The Globe Nomex are hoods, and that's all fire gear. The rest of that's just fire gear. And that is it from our 4410.
Okay.
Just make a quick comment on the gear. We've done a terrific job in the last, it's been a number of years, getting our firefighters into newer gear and getting the gear replaced that we had before. It used to be that it was a badge of honor to wear the dirtiest, gear that you could, get it as smoky and black as you could, and just with the products of combustion and that stuff that's on that gear, it's horrible. And so now we have the ability to wash the gear, so it doesn't happen anymore where firefighters are wearing old gear that's got holes in it, as black as the day is long. And so it's just, that's one of the things I'm proud of with our department, just keeping the guys in good gear that's in good condition. So the gear's expensive, but in the long run, it's better for the firefighters to not be breathing the stuff that's coming off of that.
I was just gonna say, it might have been a badge of honor,
And
but
it
it
was-
might have been a toxic one too.
It was, so.
I'll speak a little bit on that. I was a firefighter that enjoyed the thrill of having a Super City helmet. Thought it was rad when I was little. But this department has come a long way. Even my department that I came from, of 270 people, didn't have the luxury of having 2 sets of gear, and I think that is phenomenal.
Yes.
It is a lot of money. However, when it's 20 degrees below zero, which I have not experienced this yet. 20 degrees below zero, and you fight a fire and get all city and cold and icy and wet, and then have to put it on again for an accident 15 minutes later is not ideal. And for them to be able to go back to the station, throw it in a bag on the floor, go to the next call, and still have a set of gear that that's fantastic. And we've also implemented a couple new things, because I am very big on, obviously, cancer prevention. We're like 60% more likely to get cancer, certain types of cancers than just a normal civilian. So it's kind of a big deal. We've adapted, we put a bucket on every single engine, and it has, Dawn dish soap, a garden hose, a brush. It's basically gross decon before they even take all of their equipment off. So you come out with all the cellulose and black soot. The driver or somebody around will do a gross decon for you before you even take your gear off, and that eliminates 50 or 60% of the actual carcinogens just by doing that, and then going back to the station and throwing it in the washer will help assist, or the extractor will help with the rest. So we're trying to do cost-effective measures. It doesn't cost us, because everything in our business is expensive, and if we can do cost-cutting measures for our guys, simple things like that, we're going to do it all day long. So it's been working good. I'm glad you brought that point up. It is important to have good gear. Obviously, NFPA doesn't let you have old gear, so you have to buy it no matter what. But the guys take good care of it. It seems to be great gear. This new gear that we're going to is Globe, and then having the two sets is just fantastic. It's a wonderful deal. So
Yeah, not every department has got the luxury of having a budget that pays for that kind of gear, and we're definitely blessed in that regard.
Great comment. Thank you. Any other questions to the chief? Okay. Help me out here. Do we need to approve this?
Yes,
I don't remember. Okay.
requires a motion.
Okay. Would anyone like to care to make an?
I'll make the motion that we approve the equipment replacement.
Okay. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Fund 2243, Chief.
Operating fund, appropriation detail history, page 4. You'll see our diesel fuel came out at 3,800. Our gasoline was 1,300. Just gonna kind of keep moving. If you have any questions, just let me know. On page 6, we have engine parts for 13.2 and truck 13.1, $523 and $424. On page 7, we have dive rescue equipment for $1,900. On page 8 is our gas and electric bill for $1,200 for all the stations. On page 9, we have our annual aerial inspection for $860. Everything came back good there. And that is all the large notable calls on our operating for the month of October. I will say, in our operating budget, we're doing a really good job with the mid-year raises and inflation. Probably by the end of the year, we're going to be scraping the barrel of the bucket, but we are doing everything that we can, and I think we're going to be just fine.
Chief, what is the dive rescue?
So they had some, so we are integrated with, obviously, Warsaw PD and us as a dive team, and we're trying to standardize our equipment, and they had some equipment that was, for NFPA, going bad, so they had to replace them. And Dive Rescue International is just it's a class and it's a brand that we have gone to as the Warsaw dive team. We use DRI. They're the same folks that brought those 3 classes in August.
Mhm.
That comes out. We do DRI. They're a very good company. That is mainly there's a lot of PD involved, but it's fire as well. It's all NFPA stuff and national standard stuff throughout the country.
Does anyone else have any questions for the chief in regards to this budget? I'll make a motion to approve this budget 2243.
Second?
Motion's been made, seconded, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you. Okay. Chief, I think we're still looking to you here for Pro Air Midwest.
Yeah, so this was already approved by the Board of Works, brought on by the police department. We kind of share, I'll just kind of read you what this says. It was drafted by Whitaker, but the Warsaw Police Department is requesting approval to renew our annual contract with Pro Air for 1,300. Pro Air provides maintenance on the air tanks for the dive team, so this is kind of a joint deal for us. The maintenance fees are paid by each department respectively. The fire department pays $27.88 for maintenance on their tanks, and the Warsaw Police Department pays $1,300. The 2023 police budget and 2023 fire budget supports this annual agreement. Thank you for your consideration. It was approved by the Board of Works on 11/18. So we are just seeking your permission, doing our due diligence on the fire side to get it approved through this board before it's official.
And what is an air sample that you gave me?
An air sample?
Yeah, it says here 12 air samples, $105 each. I'm on the last page of the contract.
Oh, I think they're testing the tanks and making sure that they're good to go and NFPA compliant. That's all it is making sure it's in compliance with whatever NFPA standards those particular tanks
Okay,
have.
I just wasn't familiar with
Specification.
what
Yeah,
the term
no, I
was
didn't even see this compliance.
indicated to me. Okay.
It changed, there's the filters, so if the air samples are bad, they'll change the filters, just so we're putting in good breathable air for the guys in the scuba tanks.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay. So we need a motion on this, I presume? Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Under new business item 2, kind of an awkward situation today. The mayor isn't here and our attorney isn't here. So Jeannie and I are going to jointly work our way through this. And for the people out there, business item number 2, provider unit and participating unit executive board appointments, which means that in the case of Wayne County, Jeannie has reached out to have a representative on this board who is Gordon. And the mayor has reached out to people in the city, just Brandon and myself, asking if we would still be willing to serve on the board. We've all answered in the affirmative. I'm not sure what we need to do, Shirley. Do we need to make a motion to approve ourselves, or we accept?
Just a,
Actually,
is me.
Brandon is the independent member
Okay.
on the board that Jeannie.
Oh, I
and
thought it was
Mayor-
Gordon. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
Gordy is the township representative.
Wayne Township.
You are the city representative.
Yes.
I'm an independent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
And I
thought you
believe-
were- I thought I was appointed by the council, and you were appointed by the mayor.
I think I'm just kind of in between.
Yeah, the Wayne Township and the
Right,
city
the township and.
has to
and-
both agree on
Agree.
the independent, which is Brandon.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
just to clarify that.
okay,
But,
thank you.
I do not, the way I understand it,
I'm
it's
sorry?
just, the way I understand it is just making and aware that Jeannie, you, and the mayor
Mhm.
have spoke and
Right,
have, you
we
have
did.
agreed on
We did spoke
your
on the phone.
members, the mayor has agreed on his members, and then both of you have agreed for Brandon to stay on as
That
an
is correct.
independent. I think it's just an acknowledgement that needs to be made if I'm
Public
correct.
acknowledgement.
Just to be,
Yes,
Okay.
and that everyone
Understood it
is agreeable to that.
Okay,
and so we agreed to keep the same members as was last year, so.
Yes, and the mayor did reach out to me, and I did agree to serve another year.
same here.
So, okay,
Okay, so there's nothing to pass, we just have to make a public acknowledgement, correct?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, duly noted and done. Item number 3, and I'll read this again for the public. It's fire chief recommendation from the executive board to the provider unit, which is this board. Basically, what that is saying is we want the fire chief as a duly appointed member of this executive board. You have been contacted by the mayor, I presume, and all is well and good.
All is well and
Okay.
good, sir.
And I'm going to voice my support for the chief to be on the board.
Is that one we do vote on?
Pardon?
Is that one we do need a motion and a second on? Seems like we have.
Second on.
Since they are not here, I would probably recommend that just to have our
yeah,
bases covered.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I so move.
yeah.
Yeah, I think basically if everyone on the board
Agrees?
agrees.
Yeah, okay,
It would be,
I recommend that the chief
okay.
be on the board.
Second?
Well, I think we're all in
okay, so
agreement,
all members are in agreement? Okay.
Yep.
which is all we need to do, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So, is everyone comfortable with what we just did? I mean, without our legal counsel and without the mayor, I think we've done it correctly. At least it was our intent
We're
to
all
do so
agreeable to it.
correctly. Okay, all right. Okay, so is it safe to say we can move on then to travel requests? Okay. Chief, back to you, sir, for the travel requests.
Okay, this is gonna be, for next year. Kind of give you a little backstory. We're kind of hitting, the active shooter pretty hard, and not just the city, but, the county as well. We meet quite regularly, about once a month, if we can get all the players in the same room. And it's a county-wide operation to where we're kind of just in the literature right now of formalizing a plan and agreeing on verbiage and the tactics and radio frequencies and all that stuff before we even entertain the idea of doing like a mock drill type of thing. So we're just trying to all get on the same page, not just as a county or not just as a city, but as an entire county. And this is a course in Plainfield that Chief Bollinger is going to attend. It's the Active Threat Integrated Response course. It's a couple days, and it would be good. I did a similar class back in Arizona. It was a live-scale incident. It brought a lot of things to light. You can find out what works, what doesn't work, because you can drill on this stuff all the time, and when reality sets in, it's going to be a little different story. We just want to be as, God forbid it ever happens, we just want to be as prepared as we possibly can. And that's.
Are
why it is
there
what-
any representatives from Warsaw PD, Lutheran going to the same class?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. no.
Hopefully that will be the case. It's because, Chief Bollinger can go to this class and have all these ideas about what to do, but if not everybody's on the same page.
The idea that I'm a big fan of sending one and bringing it home rather than sending a lot to the same, you know what I mean? Just for the sake of keeping people here. He's an admin guy. He can come back. We can integrate it into our program. That's not to say I'm dismissing the fact that I don't think Warsaw or Lutheran should go, but this is a type of class where you would send multiple people, and I like to, like we did with Drew, to go get trained and dived, or he can bring it back and train our guys. I'm a big proponent of that. I think that's not only financially responsible, but I think you send somebody, they come back and teach it. I think that was money well spent.
Yeah, I agree. But it's taken a while for you mentioned dive. It's taken a while for some of that integration to happen, and some of it still hasn't happened. Having been on a few dive scenes back in the day, so with so much at stake in a situation like this, I think it would be absolutely helpful to have people on the same page.
Yeah, I would think that
So
they should be.
that would be great to see. Nothing. I'm not suggesting anything for Chief Bollinger on this travel request. It just brings up, that kind of a thing. So hopefully there's.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear though that the departments are getting together and talking about this.
Oh, it's been awesome conversations. Fantastic.
Chief, is there any organization out there that, looking down the road, I mean, I know this is something new for us. We've never had to think about this, but in the world we live in, we have to think about this. And I think it's good that we are, dipping our toe in the water, I guess, so to speak. I'm sure there's been other things happening behind the scenes that we don't know about, but is there any organization out there that we could bring in at some point to have on-site training and have a lot of our guys experience this, the fire as well as the police and perhaps emergency services?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's a loaded question because there's tons of people you can bring in. I mean, even the sheriff, they've been training on this for a while. They have a lot of good guys
Yeah.
that can come in and do this. The idea was to bring this in and simplify it for K County and make it our own, because our plan and the way we handle this is going to be drastically different than the actual plan was from Fishers. So it's not like we're coming up with this from scratch. We're just kind of simplifying it for K County, getting the verbiage the same, so we're speaking the same language and integrating it into our schools, because it is drastically different. We don't have the resources like the Indianapolis area does. So we will eventually have that when we call for it, but that will take time, and we're looking at the initial 5 to 10 minutes, and then subsequently the next 12 hours type of thing. And that's kind of what we're doing together. This isn't a Warsaw-Wayne Fire or Warsaw PD or Sheriff or Syracuse or any of the, it's not one agency. We're all working together to make this
That's good.
happen. It's been pretty awesome, to be honest with you. So very good. Long way to go, but it's good. It's going good.
Well, I'm glad to see we're moving in that direction. Any other questions for the chief on this? Okay. We need approval.
I so move.
Second?
Motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passes, chief.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, agenda item number 7, other matters that may come before this board. Does anyone have anything? Chief?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, no items carried forward. Visitors' comments or questions? Okay. Well, I would make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I third it.
This meeting is over. Thank you for a good
Thank you
year.
guys very much, appreciate it.
Okay, do have some minutes from
You gonna go bowling?
November.
I'm sorry? You gonna go bowling?